This is a story about a magical place where everything's amazing, especially the people. Especially the people. Especially the people.
In a corner of YouTube, somewhere out of the way, where the legions of normies never bother to stray, where the fandom is gathered and the force is strong. You get your orders from Starfleet and you keep moving along. There's a shape in the doorway and a voice can be heard. It's the voice of an android in the shape of a turd. Many geeks join behind him as they beckon you in, and as one sweet collective they all start to sing. Welcome to the Hotel Turdistani. Such a crappy place, such a crappy place, such a crappy face. There's plenty of nerds at the Hotel Turdistani. Any time of year, any time of year, there is sci-fi here. We've got sweet Alexander, he keeps his brain in a jar, but he loves his Asian Muslim wife, born in the USSR. Next to him is Rock Solid, he'd like to show you the way, but he thinks Kirk and his crew are the worst, so he doesn't get a say. Lurking deep in the shadows, you'll see Chief Mr. Miles. He only speaks when he's not editing, so you won't hear from him in a while. Yes, we're quite a rebellion, rebel scum you might say, but we all share one vision, to take down bird of prey.
You son of a bitch!
Welcome to the Hotel Turdistani. Such a crappy place, such a crappy place, such a crappy face. The tribbles are loose in the Hotel Turdistani. Turn your phaser on, turn your phaser on, keep it set to stun. Welcome to the Hotel Turdistani. Such a crappy place, such a crappy place, such a crappy face. There's plenty of nerds at the Hotel Turdistani. Any time of year, any time of year, there is sci-fi here.
Making your way with the nerds today takes everything you've got. Taking a break from hating JJ sure would help a lot. Wouldn't you like to just get laid? Sometimes you wanna go where all the Trekkies know your name, and they're always glad you came. You wanna be in a galaxy where Star Trek isn't lame. You wanna go where everybody knows your name.
Death to Carora!
Hey guys, and I forgot to change the background. There we go. Yeah, Michael J. Crawford, the Anti-Trucker here. Sorry if I don't sound too full of energy. I wasn't actually planning on doing a live stream tonight, but I can't really sleep. Not yet, anyway. Took my pain meds, hoping they kick in soon, because I'm hurting like an SOB right now. But good to see you all. Hope you liked the new song. I thought it was really good. Bravo to Aberjam. I know he won't be seeing this until tomorrow, but bravo, Aberjam. It was a great, great song. And yeah, I just threw a couple little things on it, and it worked great. Joshua, of course, drew the picture of the Hotel Turdistani based on the Hotel California album cover. So, excuse me. Live with Matthews first says, good evening, Checker and all. How is it going? Well, just kind of said that. Darren says first. Captain Trek says pre-first. T-Berg says bird timer. Yes, but my timer is, come on, you got to admit, my timer is like 1,000 times better than Bird's timer. So, let's be real here. Jaeger says hi. Mike Richards here from Columbus, Ohio. Captain Trek says hi. Darren says, screw you, Live with Matthew. Wow, that's mean. Jaeger says, why does the Big Lebowski hate the Eagles? I don't know. I've never seen the Big Lebowski, so I don't know. And I know a lot of people say that's sacrilege. I just never seen it. Resolute says hi. Mark says hi. Life with Matthew is asking Darren what he missed. T-Berg says, posted some classic SE photos on Discord. I'm not sure what you mean by SE. Silly Turd is Silly Tilly in this short turd. Not that I am aware of, but we do have Auntie the Wonder Dog. So you got that. Sweet song, says Captain Cat. Indeed, Aberjam once again proves his lyrical abilities to be great. Darren, as you beat me to first. The Renegade says, hey, fellow nerds, hope you're feeling having a better day than me. I doubt it, Renegade. Rambling Canuck says, hello, and checking all. Hey, Rambling, man, I think I might have borrowed some of your pain today. Mike Richards laughing. Valor says, Mr. Mouse forever first, I'm forever awesome, and Auntie forever cuter than Baby Yoda. Yeah, hard to deny that. Although, Puka is even cuter than Auntie, our little Pomeranian. Puka's just stupid cute. Jagerbomb says, why did the dude for the Big Lebowski out the Eagle so much? I already said I don't know, but I know you posted that before I said that the first time. Mark Andy says, hey, Sugar, shouldn't a short trek be called a rabbit nugget? That's not bad. Oh, yeah, we got to come up with something. Or short, yeah. Darren says, the Eagles, Hotel California, described the hotel that used to be the headquarters of Satanic Church of California. One of the Eagles' daughter got sucked into that organization. I did not know that. I always wondered what that song was about. It was kind of messed up. That's all I knew. Mark has no sound. Mark. Epic, I must do something for Alpacan prestige. Well, the Alpacans are, Epic and I must do something for Alpacan prestige. Well, I thought you guys were trying to bring up the emu forces. And that's something for Mr. Miles. I will check that out in a little bit. Daniel says, always wonderful to be with Anti-Tracker. Thank you, Daniel. Darren says, Renegade says, never knew that to Darren. Always suspected that was what the song was about. Yeah, I knew something like that. It was definitely something dark. I knew that, but yeah. And Miss Anti-Tracker said, like when she was a kid, the song, I think, used to bother her because of the whole you can never leave. Aberjam is awesome. Indeed he is. Jeff says, sorry you're feeling bad. Thank you, my friend. Daniel says, 3 more days to go till Star Trek Picard episode 4. That is very, very true. Jeff Franklin says last. Captain Trek says, your timer rules. Thank you, my friend. Holographic timer from Disco. Wow. And let's see. And yeah, I'll check that out. I don't know if Mr. Miles is here yet, but I will play with that. Obviously not right now. All right, theory about what will happen in the end of Picard Season 1. It's too early to say, Daniel. I mean, the show could go in several different directions. So I hate to, it depends on if they're really planning on making season 1 just build into season 2 like The Expanse, or if season 1 is going to tell a complete story. And we don't really know the answer to that. Aaron says, never saw The Big Lebowski until last year. Don't feel bad. It's one of those rare movies that becomes more funny upon subsequent viewings. Okay. Anyone watched the mental health PSA called Doctor Who? I have not. I have not watched Doctor Who since the first episode of the current Doctor. Tubian says, so is anti-theism the belief that beagles are divine? Wah, wah. That's good. Darren says, Puka isn't a dog. She is a dog triple hybrid. I agree. And in fact, I said something along those lines to Mrs. Anti-Checker the other day. Jay Pez says, hello, Jello. How you doing, my friend? My work day started with being informed that a friend had passed away last night. Been kind of bummed all day. Oh, man, I'm sorry, Renegade. Well, in that case, your day probably was worse than mine. My problems were just physical discomfort, but something like that will really, really get to you. Aaron says, on the original Hotel California album cover, you can see Anton LaVey peering at you from a window. Really? I did not know that. All I know, in fact, I didn't even know what the cover looked like until Joshua did that picture. So let's see, Hotel California, and we go to images. Well, there's some just pictures of an actual hotel called Hotel California. So we'll select Hotel California album cover. So where is Anton? I don't see him. But then again, most of the pictures are pretty low resolution. Let's see. Oh, there we go. Let's see. No. Well, anyway, I'm not going to mess around with that. All right. Daniel says, I think the Borg cube is a Trojan horse and it'll be a big trap in the end. The Borg will activate and assimilate everyone and everything into all the 25th century tech and Romulan ships. I doubt that. I truly doubt that. It's an interesting idea, but I don't think they would do that. Fluggerville says, happy full moon. Thank you, my friend. Daniel says, then they will adapt and become a threat again. I doubt it. The only reason I say that is because it doesn't seem to make a lot of sense that they would go through the trouble of establishing all these characters just to have them all get assimilated. Valor says, want to know what's awkward? Visiting Vivian's parents to pick up something for her and her parents who blame me for her no longer as Mormon and me being pagan. Well, if you're a pagan and she was a Mormon when you met her and she's not a Mormon now, then, maybe they got a point. But, that being said, I'm not necessarily saying that it's a bad thing to get her to not be a Mormon anymore, although I would prefer not pagan. Darren says, Picard is steadily going down in flames for me. On the bright side, Anson Mount was pretty good as Pike, just too bad that he's not on an actual Star Trek show. Now behave, Darren. Blessed be Kindred. Okay. Captain Trek says, I'm here, some pain. Sir Trektronic says, Anti-Trekker, so what is your group of stream nerds called? A tribe called Trek. So now we're going to have to get Aberjam to try and do a Tribe Called Quest song. Jeff says to Captain Trek, wish I could take your pain. No, you don't. No, you don't. I don't know how much pain Captain Trek is in. I know that you don't want mine. That's for sure. Too complex a story for the writers. I don't think it's a matter of complexity. I just don't think that, here's the thing is that the problem with a lot of shows when it comes, and almost every show suffers from this, is the idea that you cannot harm the main characters. And so, if all of a sudden in the last episode the Borg come breaking out and assimilate everyone, then you know they're all going to be rescued in the next season. So yeah. Daniel says, that was an exciting scene they were filming for Matrix 4. Hi, Trigger. No, it really wasn't. I mean, I know you said it was. I understand what you're saying, that it's exciting that they are filming Matrix 4, but the scene looked boring. I mean, honestly, the video footage that Daniel's talking about was literally Keanu Reeves dressed like a freaking hobo doing this while the camera moves in on him. And that's it. Darren says, oh, Beehive. Austin Powers. Well, if they assimilate all, it will certainly subvert our expectations. No, because then I'd say, okay, how are they going to rescue everybody in the beginning of season 2? The Borg using Soji saw her interrogation of Tarek Romulan. Soji wanted to know why that Borg connection broke. They'd be interested too. The Janeway Borg virus must still be weakening them. Well, yeah, you see, I'm not... Well, without knowing the timeline of everything, like when did they get that cube? And all that, but it's, you know, I don't like the idea that the Borg are basically still around. They should have been wiped out. And Jaeger once again says, why does the dude hate the Eagles? I don't know. Mike Richard says, Anti's behind you, look out. Oh wait, that's Bird. That would be really creepy if Bird was back there. Especially since he can't really move. Slingster says, LOL, nah, wouldn't care. Not sure to what. Biden touches in the house, touching people in inappropriate ways because he's Biden touch. Darren says, I suspect Hugh will turn out to be the Borg King or something. That would be stupid. I have a bad feeling Picard is slowly heading down the Star Trek Discovery path. We will find out in a few weeks. Mr. Mouse says, Anti-Tricker, you bastard. Why am I a bastard? At 11:23, I put into Skype, going live. I gave you plenty of warning. Keanu looking like a hobo and staring in the distance could be any recent Keanu film. Exactly, and that's what I was kind of telling Daniel, is that, well, you know, that scene could literally be anything. And so, you know, granted, I know it's exciting if you're looking forward to Matrix 4, it's exciting that they're in production, but at the same time, staring at Keanu, staring in the distance doesn't really mean anything. Do you watch the Orville? Overall thoughts from seasons 1 and 2. I love the Orville. The Orville is basically, in my humble opinion, a better version of Star Trek The Next Generation. And yes, I said it. It is a better version of Star Trek The Next Generation, as in it is better than Star Trek The Next Generation. The only thing and I know Daniel's going to hate me for saying that, but no, don't get me wrong. Like in Star Trek The Next Generation, after Picard got over his preachiness from the first couple of seasons, I really got to enjoy his character. But those first couple of seasons of Picard were intolerable. And but the show overall, I mean, honestly, Star Trek The Next Generation has some higher highs with it. You know, when you look at Best of Both Worlds or The Inner Light or you know, the Chain of Command, 3 of my favorite episodes. But overall, Orville has really launched a lot better than Star Trek The Next Generation did. Unfortunately, it's not in the Star Trek universe, even though it's the most Star Trek feeling show we've gotten since Enterprise. So, yeah. She is no longer Mormon. Before I met her, she just didn't like all the restrictions on her, as they are old school Mormons. She loves coffee, among other things. Well, yeah, I understand. But the Mormons are, yeah, they're very legalistic with their application. And I don't even understand, you know, the coffee thing and all that. Because, you know, the Mormons supposedly believe in Christianity. They believe in, you know, the Old and New Testaments, but then they think there's the Book of Mormon in addition to that. And I don't know what all's in the Book of Mormon. And that must be where, did Jesus go to the Indians and say, hey guys, caffeine is bad, don't ever drink coffee? Because that doesn't make any sense to me, that why in the Old Testament there are prohibitions on food. In the New Testament, Jesus said, nope, you can eat and drink whatever you want. And then in the Book of Mormon, he said, oh, I was kidding about that. I don't get it. Mr. Miles says, I didn't see you say you went live, so I suppose I'm the bastard. Well, no, you're not a bastard. You were just not paying attention. But that's okay. LOL, Board King. I like that. That could be a burger commercial. Burger King. And Captain Trek says, Mr. Miles, no, you're just a jerk. And Daniel puts $4.99 into the chat. Thank you so much, Daniel. I do appreciate it. Drops a few yellow turds into the bucket. And it says, here's some shekels. Thanks for all the great content, man. You are more than welcome, Daniel. And this is going to be a good week, I have a feeling. Because, number one, tomorrow morning at 6 a.m., a great, and I do mean a great, video from Darren is going to drop on the Anti-Checker channel. And this video is about the Enterprise refit from a submariner's perspective. It is, and I know Darren's here, and I'm sorry for buttering you up so much, Darren, but it's honestly my favorite video in the series so far. I really, really like this video. It's the perfect length. It's about 10 minutes long. It explains everything succinctly, and it's really interesting because it's full of information that I had no clue about. And so it's really, really good. So that drops at 6 a.m. tomorrow. I have a special little video project that I've been working on, which just for fun, kind of picking on all the little minor inconsistencies in Picard. It's not meant to be a hate video on Picard like some people. It's just meant to be kind of poking fun and nitpicking. If that video goes well, I may do a few more. If it doesn't do well, then I may not. But we'll see. And I actually was thinking, these nitpicking videos are easier to put together than some other videos that I've done that have not done well lately. So I'm hoping that if it does okay, I can make a series out of just nitpicking stuff for fun. As long as people understand it's for fun. Then on Wednesday, on Thursday, of course, is going to be another Picard day, which means no sleep. But I like doing the Picard videos and the early morning Picard live stream, so I'm looking forward to that. And hopefully we'll have a video from Rock Solid pretty soon to put on the channel as well. So things are just kind of really, this is going to be a busy week if all goes well. So, but in answer to your $4.99 super chat, just thank you, man. Thank you. Let's see. Speaking of Board Kings, in the Mirror Universe, there's a Board King rather than a Queen. Actually, see, I like the idea that in the Mirror, depending on how you look at the origin of the Borg. I mean, I think my origin idea for the Borg, it wouldn't work with this, but my original thought was the Mirror Universe version of the Borg were the Preservers. And the Mirror Universe version of the Preservers were the Borg, and somehow they crossed over. Speaking, let's see, I already read that. Darren says, if I were writing Picard, I would have brought back the Binars and had them conducting the Borg reclamation. The Binars are just like the Borg, but they're on our side. Well, I could see doing something like that, except that it doesn't seem that there's much of a Federation presence at the Borg reclamation. It seems like the Romulans are kind of running the place. I don't think that anyone is actually watching the show even bother with any canonical... I don't think that anyone that is actually watching the show even bother with any canonical elements. Without trying to be too negative, they are makers of a show do not seem to give a damn about canon. Here's the problem with that statement, Slingster. There's an element of truth in what you're saying, for sure. But that's true of every TV show, including, yes, every Star Trek show. That's why every Star Trek show has canonical problems. It's because the writer... And Gene Roddenberry, people that worship at the altar of Gene Roddenberry always piss me off, because Gene Roddenberry himself flat out said when he was working on Star Trek The Next Generation Season 1, he was asked about how much does he take into account the canon of Star Trek The Original Series, and his answer was, I don't. To him, Star Trek The Next Generation is all that counts. And, so they from the very beginning, Gene Roddenberry did not give a crap about canon, and yet people say, "Oh, Gene Roddenberry would be rolling over his grave in his grave because of the canon violation." No, he wouldn't. That's the least of it. Gene Roddenberry might get pissed off about the darkness of the show. He might get pissed off about the general militaristic tone of the Federation in the show, but the canon? No, he wouldn't give a crap about that. I do, but he wouldn't. KG313 says, "Hey, Etcher, what do you think of Joaquin Phoenix getting the Oscar tonight? Thought it was well-deserved and apparently got to check out his Parasite movie." I did not know he won, actually. I've been working, and so I didn't know. So, congratulations, Joaquin. So now we have 2 Oscar-winning Jokers, except only, one of them is still alive. Michael says, "Antchecker, you're up late. Actually, this is kind of normal for me because my work schedule sucks, but that's just the way it goes. But good to see you. And yeah, that's just how it is. I find the Orville to be a mix of TOS, TNG, and Enterprise. Yeah, it's not a bad assessment. It definitely has the TNG aesthetic, but the TOS humor, and kind of feels like TOS level relationships between crew members, and the Enterprise sense of exploring and the danger of a fledgling Starfleet type of organization with the Union. Thomas is in the house. Says hello. How you doing? Here's Daniel Shekels. Thank you again, Daniel. Tubian says, "Why do you think Picard was a racist?" Because he was. There are lots and lots and lots of lines in Star Trek The Next Generation uttered by Picard that if you substituted whatever alien race he was talking about with, say, black people or Asian or whatever, you would know it was racist, right? So... for example, I can't remember the name of the episode, I apologize, but the one where Mendon, the Benzite, comes onto the ship, and Riker is talking to Picard in the phaser range, which fortunately we didn't ever see that again. Well, I think we saw it like one other time with Guinan and Worf or something. But anyway, but Picard and Riker were in the phaser range, and Riker was like, "Oh, well, I met Ensign Mendon. He was certainly very easy to please." And Picard said, "Oh, yes, that's a Benzite trait, And it's like, okay, so imagine if I said, "Oh, hey, Sally came in and she certainly did want to do a hard job, or she certainly did do a hard day's work today. Oh, yes, that's an Asian trait, See, it's racist. All right. And you see that kind of thing all the time. In my least favorite episode of TNG, Who Watches... No, Shades of Grey is not my least favorite episode. Who Watches the Watchers is, because of its hardcore anti-theist positioning. But in that episode, they were talking about this proto-Vulcan society. Basically, that you have a group of people whose evolutionary path paralleled Vulcans, right? They were not Vulcans, but their evolutionary path paralleled Vulcans. And they say, I think it was Troy says this, "Oh, well, they're a highly rational people." And Picard's like, "Well, considering how similar their evolution is to Vulcans, that's not surprising. Because, being rational is a racial trait." You get it. Darren says, "Oh, thanks, plugging the refit video." Oh, man, it's freaking awesome. Todd says, "So in Picard Season 1 soundtrack has 2 songs with Maddox in the titles. Interesting. But why'd you tell me that, jerk?" Daniel says, I've heard in the Book of Mormon Bible, when a person passes away as a good enough, God will make him or her like him, and they will become gods of their own parallel universes. I've heard that too, but I don't know how much truth there is to that because I'm not a Mormon. You'd have to ask a Mormon if that's true. And Daniel says, Joaquin Phoenix won Best Actor. Yes, very good. I'm happy for him, which somebody else said a few minutes ago. You change your mind on the late stream. Yeah, well, mainly because I'll be honest with you, my back is hurting so bad that I just, I took my pills just before this live stream, and I'm hoping that they kick in a little bit. And I'm gonna head down in just a little bit, but I just wanted to say hi to you guys since I had to be awake. Renegade says, "Enter best description for the religious is to think of the Torah as the first film, the New Testament as the old film, and the Quran as the third." Okay, that's an interesting assessment, but I'm not sure why you would say that quite like that, because what about the Book of Mormon? That the unnecessary sequel 20 years later. Josh says, "You son of a bitch, son of a bird of prey," streaming late on a Sunday. Sorry, my friend. Renegade. Oh, the Renegade's continuing too. Jews are only like the first film and discount the sequels. Christians think the second film is the best. The third film retcons the second. Jesus is still there, but no longer. No longer the SO of Christ, and no longer the main character. The Book of Mormon is a weird fan fiction of the second film." Well, Renegade, actually, your analogy falls apart there in number 3, and the main reason there is that Muslims actually do believe that Christ is the Son of God, and they do believe he is the main character. What they don't, and they believe he's the Messiah. They just don't believe he is God himself, and they don't believe he died on the cross. And so that's really the core difference between a Muslim and a Christian, is that simple fact. I decided to watch Hobbit again. Does the Goblin King look familiar to another dictator? Certainly does. In fact, funny you should say that. We finished. Me and Mrs. Anchecker have been rewatching The Hobbit on my lunch hours from work, and we just started Desolation of Smaug, and so yes, we watched the Goblin King yesterday. Wouldn't mind seeing the Gorn or the Tholians. They're famous aliens in Trek, but we don't know much about them. Not sure if you can trust these writers with something that important, though. That's the problem. I kind of like what they did with the Tholians in a Mirror Darkly in Enterprise, but I didn't like what they did with the Gorn in that same episode. Springtime, excuse me, says, "My theory is that X-Star Trek series, even some episodes take place in their own parallel universes versus different timelines." Okay. Not sure what you mean by that. I give lines like, "That's a Benzite trait a pass. These are traits that are acquired culturally. Presumably the Benzites have a culture of their own. Not a big deal, I guess." Well, the problem is, though, Darren, is that, and this is, in fact, the problem with Star Trek The Next Generation, more so than, any other iteration of Trek. And in fact, Deep Space Nine is the best in this category that Star Trek The Next Generation is the worst in, is that they make every culture, basically, they're completely racist, because they make every species have a monolithic culture. Every Klingon is an aggressive warrior, right? No, that's not the case, right? We didn't see, non-warrior Klingons really until Enterprise. But yeah, not every Klingon is going to be a frickin' warrior. Every Romulan is devious and sneaky. Again, load of crap, right? Granted, they did do a little bit better with that later on in TNG, but through most of TNG, every Romulan was devious and sneaky. And the list goes on. Basically, every species has one specific trait that defines that species, and I never liked that. Now, what I liked about Deep Space Nine, when I say Deep Space Nine is the best in this, is Deep Space Nine took a species that Gene Roddenberry specifically created as one of these monolithic species to be an insult to capitalism, and made him a actually interesting proponent of capitalism, and that is Quark, of course, and how they retuned the Ferengi in Deep Space Nine to be an interesting and diverse species, as opposed to every one of them being money-grubbing profit seekers. And Mr. Ross says, and by racist Picard logic, Kirk was also racist as all of Star Trek because he often gives specific personality traits to species. Kirk was indeed a racist, and unlike Picard, though, Kirk came face to face with his prejudice in Star Trek VI, and that was absolutely beautifully done. I actually really, really like that. Daniel's off to sleep, says, good night, have a good one, my friend. And Mr. Ross says, and you saying that Romulans are an honorable race is racist. Okay. Well, you know, you're right. If I say Romulans are an honorable race, that would be racist. But if I say that Romulan culture is based on duty and honor, not based on being devious and sneaky, which is what they kind of do in Next Generation, that's not racist. That's talking about a cultural difference. But, you know, the problem is that they try to make it out that in Next Gen that Romulans are all these sneaky, devious people, even though that wasn't how they originally were designed. Anyway, Michael says, I was greatly disappointed to hear Sir Patrick refer to Caliban and Logan as a effing albino, very un-PC. You know what, I will tell you that while I think Logan was a really good movie overall, I hated, and I mean I hated Professor X in that movie, because that was not Professor X. That was absolutely not Professor X. Now, maybe in later comic books, that's accurate to Professor X. But to me, Professor X is always the pillar of optimism, the man that will go to his death willingly, rather than break his moral code of peaceful coexistence. And, yeah, that Professor X... Tom says, breaking news, K and Ryan Johnson writing a prequel to the Bible. I like the Gorn update in the Mirror Dark. I can see why TOS diehard like yourself would not, though. Well, yeah, I mean, that's the thing. In Arena, now I know that the costume for the Gorn in Arena was stupid looking, all right? I'm not, you know, completely blind or anything. But the point of it was that it was the major plot point of that episode that Gorns move slowly. And this Gorn was freaking zipping through the you know, the Jeffries tubes and stuff like it was nothing. SC says Trek aliens were all the same. All wear the same hat, indeed, and that is a major problem. And don't get me wrong, I'm not saying TOS didn't do it. But the way that Picard, with his, especially when he was at his preachiness, the way he would say things was like, yeah, well, you know, that's just the way these people are. You know, because I'm superior. Jared says, yeah, I agree that Star Trek is racist while actively lecturing against racism. I find that contradiction amusing. I kind of do, too. The first non-warrior Klingon was in Deep Space Nine. You played him, the Klingon restaurant owner. That's true. I forgot about the Klingon restaurant owner. Thank you, Josh, for correcting me. But you, you know, and unfortunately, they didn't develop that character, but yes, that is true. Yes, Anti-Checker has his faults. No one is perfect except Mrs. Anti-Checker. Very true, Captain Trek. Ferengi are all greedy and talk about profit. Ferengi are all greedy and talk about profit. Wrong answer, my friend. Nog. DS9 also had Chief Klingon and Lawyer Klingon. Or Chef Klingon and Lawyer Klingon. I don't remember Chef Klingon and Lawyer Klingon. I'll take your word for it, Renegade, but I don't remember it. But I do very much remember the Dr. Klingons from Enterprise, because maybe it's just because he played the part better. I don't know. Try Return of the King Extended Edition. It's only 4 hours. Oh, yeah, me and Miss Sandchecker just finished watching the Lord of the Rings trilogy. And yes, the extended edition of all three, because that's the only way to watch Lord of the Rings. Data calls Picard out on his bias in Measure of Man. It's one of the best moments. Yeah, but Measure of the Man is actually probably the best episode from the first two seasons. Even though it's definitely, you know, might not be the most exciting, but I think it is the best episode of the first two seasons. It's amazing how they exposed Kirk's racism in Star Trek VI without destroying the character for all time. That would happen today if they tried that, like Luke Skywalker. Yeah, that's the thing. And that's, like they could do that with Jean-Luc Picard in the Picard series, but they're not going to. But yeah, the thing about Kirk's character is they never betrayed Kirk's character. His being racist against Klingons actually made sense based on his experience with Klingons. Kirk had never in his life had a positive experience with Klingons. The closest you could say was that he and Kang worked together to defeat the energy creature, but even that was, borderline. Daniel says, Klingons are all about honor and duty. And LOL. Well, they weren't until next gen. I look forward to the Marvel Studios take on X-Men. I hope they do all the things that Fox didn't do. I kind of agree, but I'm more excited about the Marvel Studios take on Fantastic Four. I'm sorry, I know the X-Men are more popular with the mainstream crowd and the normies, and I know that I'm not accusing you being a normie, Darren, believe me. But for me, the first family of superheroes have got to get some justice. Nay, the slow going came from the northern continent. The faster ones came from one towards the southwest. Well, it could be like Romulans and bumps. Professor X was under the influence of psych meds and omega-level dementia and killed half his friends and country. From the sounds of it, he was broken. I don't care. It wasn't him. That's the problem, SC. You can write any excuse you want for changing the character into a freaking shell of what he used to be. And I'm not saying that, oh, well, he's under major psych drugs and a mega level dementia, and that explains it. Sure, it explains it. It still sucks. I'm sorry. You know what? It's like when people say, oh, come on, this is more realistic than this. I don't care. You're breaking the character. That's why, that I don't want to see characters ruined. That's why, like, the whole thing, like, when Last Jedi came out, man, it's funny because at first people were trying to defend Last Jedi when I was going off about it and saying, oh, come on, it's realistic that Luke, after all these years, and look at what happened, and he felt I don't care, that's not freaking Luke Skywalker. If you want to do something with some hopeless, feeble, depressed, broken old man, use someone other than Charles freaking Xavier. Sorry, SC. I'm not mad at you, but that's my problem with it. Chef was the restaurant owner. The lawyer was the one who tried Worf for shooting civilians during the Klingon-Cardassian conflict. I don't remember that one, but I have to rewatch Deep Space Nine. I really do. Yes, Dog chose Starfleet, but my friend Brian does not like Ferengi because they all talk about profit, profit, profit. Well, then point out Nog, Nog, Nog. And by the way, Rom, while he did talk about profit, he wasn't obsessed with profit. And while Quark was obsessed with profit, he was also, pretty darn smart and an interesting character, and he wasn't just about profit. What species would Picard hate, though? The Republicanes. In the Gorn episode of TOS, we only saw a single Gorn. Seeing one slow Gorn doesn't mean they're all slow. Yeah, I understand that. But here's the thing. If you're going to completely go the opposite direction of what you saw, because this Gorn that Kirk fought was supposedly the captain of a starship, and so he would be an example to the Gorn as Kirk is to humans. So why would you put the guy who's so freaking slow that he took 20 minutes to walk across the supermarket in command of a starship? What about the old Klingon lady in the HG, I assume, episode Sins of the Father? I don't think she was aware. I don't remember that one. The name Sins of the Father I remember, but I don't remember the old Klingon lady. Now, let's see. Darren says the first non-warrior Klingon was the Klingon scientist Kuruk from the TNG episode Suspicions in 1993. I don't remember that episode either, but I'll take your word for it. Isaiah says, I think the X-Men should be rated R. It needs to live up to the adult nature of Fox Entertainment. Well, first of all, Isaiah, the X-Men no longer belong to Fox. They belong to Marvel once again. Second of all, no, they don't need to be freaking rated R. Why do people obsess over it being rated R? There's only one character in the freaking X-Men that should be in a rated R movie, and that is Wolverine. And that's only a Wolverine solo film. The X-Men should be PG-13. Would you count Lawyer Worf in Star Trek 6 as a non-warrior Klingon? Yeah, I suppose. I could give you that. Good morning, 704 here. Good morning. Maybe the Gorn Kirk fought was really old, slow dude in the last tour of duty and about to retire, and the Mirror Gorn was young and energetic. Wow, so Kirk was fighting an old man. Duty, get it? Duty is poop. Yeah, I get it. And Dr. Alex is in the house. Hey, Doctor, did you get a chance to record that little tidbit I was asking you about? Isaiah says, R.I.P. Fox Entertainment. Well, Fox Entertainment was, don't get me wrong, they've made some good stuff, but not lately. And they certainly didn't make anything good involving Marvel. Okay, I'll take that back. Logan was good, even though they butchered Professor X. And X-Men First Class was good, even though it wasn't the X-Men First Class. Professor X from Logan wasn't supposed to be the same guy we saw. He was supposed to be past his prime, and it's who Professor X becomes, but it's not Professor X. But that's the point, Mr. Miles. It's not Professor X. It's another freaking character. Surf says, donate through PayPal does not take away 30%. That is correct, Surf. If you donate directly through PayPal, it does not. I haven't heard your opinion on Captain Pike from Discovery. It felt like he became even more heroic when we learned of his ultimate fate. I liked Captain Pike from Discovery overall. I think Ensign Mount did a good job with the part. That's a shame that the Discovery Season 2 ended on one of the worst endings in television history, which I don't know if Darren's seen it yet, but yeah, you'll love that. And Yosef donates €2. Today I matter since low on energy. Good morning. Very good, Yosef. Very good. I love it. And thank you, my friend. The Enterprise Solents were done so well, I wanted to see more of them. Exactly, me too. Patrick Stewart has played 3 different Charles Xaviers. That's kind of true. Another special Ferengi was Lake, the professional eliminator. I don't care about profit was his defining quote. Yeah? Sorry, each Star Trek series takes place in their own parallel universe versus timelines. That's what I meant to say. I understand that, springtime, and yeah, that would explain a lot, but fans would never accept that. He might have been the Pike of Gorns. Okay. The best Klingon was the female who got tangled up with Neelix. She was funny. That was the point of Logan. Everything was broken in Logan's life, even the last living connections to his past. I don't care. You know what? Then make it so Professor X is dead. And bring in some other mutant that we haven't seen before and ruin that character. Because ruining Professor X doesn't make for good entertainment for me. I'm sorry. If they decided, you know what, let's make Captain Kirk into a dick, most of you would be pissed off. All right, so, just because he's old doesn't mean you get to ruin his character. That's cool. Otherwise, check the sore spot, but not all heroes get to go out under the rainbow. Some Marines die from stepping on a dung-stained punji stick. That's life. It's sad. Yeah, that's life. That's not fiction. And that's the thing about fiction, SC, is all the heroes can go out under a rainbow. Why? Because it's fiction. And you know what? I like entertainment. I want the heroes to go out under a rainbow. I don't want the heroes to go out in a realistic, depressing, dirty, pathetic end. All right, yeah, it's more realistic, but I don't go to movies about mutants that can read minds and pop out claws for realism. The old Klingon woman was Worf's nanny. I really don't remember that. She was Worf's nurse who knew Moog and was loyal to the Empire. Most superhero films don't need an R rating. That's true. Lobo, Wolverine, Deadpool, maybe The Punisher. Those films can be R rated. Everybody else needs to be PG and earn their keep. I agree. Tom says, yes, the Gorn ship was full of senior citizens out for fun, and the captain was the most fit. Since they're reptiles, maybe Gorn's speed is related to their environment. He's slow fighting Kirk because he hasn't acclimated yet. Fast on Enterprise because of optimal climate. I could buy that, but I still don't like the fact that he also didn't look anything. I mean, they didn't look like they were the same species. And granted, you could say, well, it's a mirror universe. Maybe that's what they look like there, but I didn't feel like that was the same species as Stupid Lizard Man from Arena. And that was an iconic episode, as silly as it was. Dr. Ox says, sorry, not yet. Computer was tied up with uploading episode 7 and trailers, etc. Darren says, I feel like I need a shower after watching an episode of Star Trek Discovery. I feel like I need a mere sponge bath after watching Picard, administered by Mirror Hoshi. Wow. Okay. Renegade says, let's make Kirk into a dick. Did you find JJ's notes for the reboot? Exactly. Didn't they turn Kirk into somewhat of a dick in the JJ movies? Well, they tried to make his hubris into, yeah, I mean, it didn't, they tried at least. But the problem is, yeah, they made Kirk's confidence into overconfidence. Schromer says, good morning, Tricker and fellow nerds. Hey, SC says, Kirk was kind of a dick. He was really rude to Uhura 90% of the time. Okay. One of the things that kind of ticked me off about Star Trek 2009 was that, unlike real Kirk, who never lost a fight, poser Kirk lost most of the fights in that movie. That's actually true. I didn't like that either. The X-Men and all mutants are currently segregationists in the comics. They are being turned into villains. Disney might go this route for the movies to inject some woke politics. Well, first of all, Disney ain't doing anything. It's Marvel. Second of all, I understand, one thing that happened in the comic books, and the comic books, by the way, complete lost cause. I mean, Marvel Comics is a freaking mess. But, one of the things they actually did do in Marvel Comics was try to piss all over the X-Men on purpose because Fox owned the X-Men. Kirk was a dick already in TOS. No, I disagree. Well, with how the Gorn looked when the Klingons first changed appearance, you didn't have a problem because you thought, oh, that's how they're supposed to look the entire time. Yes, and you know what? If they simply changed the appearance of the Gorn, I would actually be okay with that because I could say, okay, this is the vision of the Gorn, but if the defining characteristic of the Gorn is super duper strong but super duper slow, why are we looking at now super duper strong and super duper fast? I can accept the idea that the Gorn have radically different subspecies if they are ever established that on screen. Well, but they would have to establish it on screen. Free Auntie, says Shomer. Auntie is free. She's just sleeping. Free Sassy, says Josh. Yes, indeed. Sassy needs to be rescued. I thought Broke Down Professor X had psychic dementia or something. Yes, and that was stupid. I'm sorry. Psychic dementia was stupid. Bogan was a good movie. Psychic Dimension was stupid. Yeah, I have to agree on the look of the Gorn. If they had kept the multi-lens eyes instead of small beady eyes, I could have accepted it more. Yeah, that would have actually helped. The opening theme for Inamir Darkly was fantastic, much better than the usual theme. Agreed. It was the only theme that felt more like Star Trek, even though it's supposed to sound like evil Star Trek. Watch TMP and Wrath of Khan. He shouts and Uhura and then makes her carry his book. He is a tool. Well, actually, here's the thing. At that point, especially you're talking about like in TMP and in Wrath of Khan, he is an admiral. And you know what admirals do? they do crap like that. Here, take this. I need to have my hands free. Kirk's party were his, the people that were on in Wrath of Khan when they came over to the ship, Sulu and Uhura were Kirk's personal assistants at that point. Kirk was going on an inspection of the Enterprise, and he brought his boy Sulu to fly the ship, and his girl Uhura to man the comms. That's how the Gorn are a union of species, and the two Gorn, they just aren't the same species, but aren't. Springtime, I would be perfectly fine with that if they said that. Don't worry, maybe we'll see a STD Gorn next season. Oh, jeez. Well, we did see a Gorn skeleton. And actually, if I remember correctly, the Gorn skeleton in Star Trek Discovery was more accurate than the Gorn in Enterprise. So, kudos. They got something right, even though the existence of said skeleton was a canonical violation. What Marvel Studios needs to do is adapt all the great stories from the comics that Fox didn't use, like The Brood, the Shi'ar, the whole Joss Whedon run, etc. Well, I don't know about the Joss Whedon run, but I will tell you that first of all, the Brood and the Shi'ar and all that, the Brood work better with the Fantastic Four than the X-Men. In fact, I have a great Fantastic Four X-Men crossover that involve the Brood. But personally, I mean, I don't even care about the X-Men. I really don't. They've been overdone and crapped on too much. Give them a little bit of a break. I think that Marvel, if they're smart, are going to bring in the X-Men very, very gradually. For example, I've heard rumors that Storm is going to be a feature player in Black Panther 2. And so we'll get to know Storm without her being a member of the X-Men, right? And same thing with other characters. They can be side characters in being introduced in other movies, and then eventually we'll bring them together as a team. Do it gradually. Wait a minute. Was the Enterprise Gorn all that fast? He seemed faster than a human, and he had been hanging around the warm engine spaces. Well, he seemed no faster than a human. Oh, well, but he was as fast as a human, where Gorn from original series was pathetically slow. Dr. Axe says, busy day working today, but I'll get on it. Yeah, like you work. Come on. You're a frickin', number cruncher at a university. You don't work. Well, I'm just kidding, man. Will there be a second season of Twilight Zone? Don't care. I love Jordan Peele. I really do. Although I don't like the fact that he is getting so blatantly agenda-driven with all of his work. And Twilight Zone had some stellar examples of that. And here's the thing. I don't mind his, if you take any one of his agenda-driven works, whether it's a Twilight Zone episode or a movie like Get Out or whatever, and you take it in isolation, good stuff. It's all great quality stuff. But you know what I don't want to watch? Episode after episode after episode telling me how white people are mean to black people. I don't need that over and over and over and over. All right. I don't mind if that's an episode of Twilight Zone every season. I don't need it to be every episode. So I'm sorry. No disrespect intention to Jordan Peele. Like I said, he's a great director. He's very talented. But you know what? You can't make it everything the same freaking agenda. Let's not forget JJ Films referring to Gorn giving birth to live young, where TOS references to hatching grounds suggest egg laying. Okay. The TOS reference to hatching grounds? What TOS reference to hatching grounds? I don't remember that. It's called a retcon. It can be done, as the Gorn have only been seen 3 times, 3 episodes of 3 series. I don't care. I don't like it. That's just my own personal opinion. They should have stuck with the original. In Picard, the term Gorn egg came up on Rafi's screen. Yes, we talked about that. But the Gorn egg was simply an algorithm. An odd name for an algorithm, I will admit, but that's what it was. Maybe the original Gorn was too cold. We don't know what the temperature of the planet on planet Vasquez rocks. Kirk sweating is an indicator. Isn't an indicator. People sweat for all kinds of reasons. It seemed like it was pretty hot. I mean, I'm just saying, it's not like Kirk was shivering when he wasn't physically active. He was constantly squinting, and yes, he was constantly sweating. And so, yes, I think Kirk sweating is an indicator. On a scale of 1 to 10, pick Picard after 3 episodes. Well, that's easy, SC. I gave episode 1 a 7. I gave episode 2 a 6. I gave episode 3 a 6.5. They averaged to 6.5. Don't want Joaquin Phoenix. Anti-Trigger, don't want Joaquin Phoenix acceptance speech. I haven't seen it. Darren says, going to bed. All right, my friend. The Gorn-Kirk fight didn't age well. The Gorn-Kirk fight was never any good, but it was always fun. Kirk didn't sweat. He oozed awesomeness. I love it. The Kirk-Gorn fight was done in the 60s, nowhere near the budget used today. I understand that, and I know that the Gorn suit would have looked a lot better if it was invented today. I get that. In Enterprise, they tried to use CG Gorn before they should have used a CG character in a TV show. But I really didn't bother me the difference in look as much as the difference in speed. Kirk is warm-blooded, though. Running around even in cold weather will make you sweat. I understand that, but there is absolutely, here's the thing. There's nothing, and I mean nothing, to indicate that it was anything but hot in the middle of the desert with the sun out the whole time on where Kirk and the Gorn fought. I mean, there was really nothing to indicate that it was cold. It's not like you saw ice lying on the ground. It's not like you saw snow anywhere. It's not, and in fact, you didn't see any water at all. All signs of heat. We don't know enough about the Gorn to make a real judgment. Well, I understand that, but we kind of do. The Gorn were presented as being powerful and slow. That's what they were. They weren't stupid, but they were powerful and slow. And why would the Metrons purposely put them on an environment that gave Kirk an advantage? That would be uncivilized. Too bad the Gorn didn't join the Dominion War. Indeed. Phoenix came out as anti-milk. His entire speech was SJW crap. He's definitely crazy, like the Joker should be. Well, here's the thing, Thomas. Honestly, that's why I don't give a crap about award shows. I don't give a crap about watching shows about behind the scenes. I don't give a crap about watching interviews with cast members or producers or directors. I don't give a crap about any of those people because I know they are all Batwoman crazy. Every last one of them. All right. Yes, there's a few people in Hollywood that aren't, but those few people usually keep their mouths shut because they don't want to get blacklisted. You know why Robert Downey Jr. doesn't talk about politics? Because he doesn't want to get blacklisted a second time. Yes, he was blacklisted in the past. So, this whole crap from Hollywood's PC leftist nonsense, and don't get me wrong, again, I'm not saying that my liberal friends out there, that you're necessarily crazy. I'm talking about the Batwoman crazy far left agenda of Hollywood, not the normal rank and file liberal. But I don't want to hear their crap. I just don't. So no, I'm not going to watch the Academy Awards because I know everyone's going to say the same damn thing. They're going to say how horrible Trump is. They're going to say how, horrible, I guess, milk is. They're going to say how horrible everything is that has anything to do with with something that doesn't align with their agenda. Oh my God, we need more women. Even though, I don't want to hear it. In Picard, who would you like to see and who would you hate to see? Who would I like to see show up on Picard? Well, I already said Wesley Crusher, actually. I want to see Wesley Crusher as captain of a starship. Do you think... who would I hate to see? Worf is a Klingork. Let's see. Do you think we'll see a lot of Starfleet in Picard? I, for one, don't think we will. I don't either, which is unfortunate. I mean, so far we have not seen a single Starfleet ship except for in a dream and models. So, yeah, I don't know. And well, we did see the Rescue Armada, but are we going to... Well, we didn't see any interiors, so I don't know. I don't think we're going to see anything. You lived in SoCal, so you should know you can have a cold winter without seeing snow or ice. There is nothing to indicate the season, though, and again, why would the Metrons put them in a situation where Kirk had an unfair advantage? That would not be civilized, as they would say. And, so it makes no sense that the Metrons would give Kirk an edge. They wanted it to be a fair fight between the two of them, and a fair fight would mean both of them would be equally capable given the conditions. You can have a cold desert in winter, with the sun out. The sun isn't out long enough for the winter. Yes, again, but then why would the Metrons be favoring Kirk? It was hot by human standards, but by Gorn standards, it could have been freezing. The Gorn Enterprise needed to be near the engine core. Place likely too hot for humans. And again, why would the Metrons give Kirk an unfair advantage? Stephen puts a glass of something in there. Oh, milk, because I guess of Joaquin Phoenix. Show up in Picard. Why not Zoidberg? Yeah, Zoidberg, why not? It would be interesting to see the Traveler. No, it wouldn't. So, sorry. Man. But yeah. So, when do you think Riker will show up? No freaking idea. I was expecting him to show up in the last episode. I don't know. Captain Trek says, disagree with you, my friend. I do not want to see Wesley Crusher ever because the actor and because Wesley Crusher is a bad character. Well, first of all, you see, that's the problem, Captain Trek. You're doing exactly what I was talking about. Will Wheaton doesn't matter. Okay, what Will Wheaton dislikes, his attitude, if he's a complete dickhole, matters not. It is completely irrelevant. As far as Wesley Crusher being a bad character, no, he wasn't very good in the first couple of seasons, but he got better. Wesley Crusher in command of a starship? Seriously, are you trying to piss us off? Wesley Crusher is not in Starfleet anymore. You keep showing us you know nothing of TNG. Tentacle. Shut the hell up. Because Wesley was in a freaking uniform in the movies, dumbass. See, that's where you went wrong. You trust Metrons. That must be it. The rescue, and Tentacle, I'm just messing with you, by the way. The Rescue Armada is basically Discovery designs based on Shinjo. That's kind of what it looked like, but I don't know. They did look moderner. Dale says, oh my God, it was not cold. You never saw his breath. He never made any gestures like it was cold. He's rubbing his hands or anything like that. Good grief. Why are you beating this dead horse? I agree with you, Dale. There's nothing to indicate it was cold, but everybody's trying to make excuses. I'd rather see Geordi on another failed holo date than Wesley. Okay, well, that makes one of us. It would be cool if Picard stopped at Deep Space Nine and took the wormhole. Okay. Gorns look like bipedal frogs with teeth. Okay. Tiki says, I'm so confused. Ozzy says, USS Shinzo. Mako says, Wesley Crusher can only command a Packlet ship. Let's see. Riker will show up in episode 7. Thanks, IMDb. Well, why'd you spoil it for everybody else, Renegade? They didn't want a fair fight. They wanted to see if Kirk could show mercy. Okay, so now you're assuming that. Okay, you're really digging deep now. Enough with the Gorn, people. I agree. Would you like to see Ro? Not particularly. Tentacle says, in the movies where it was cut. Okay, Tentacle. Okay. It'd be funny to see Sheldon Actor from Big Bang Theory and Picard as quick cameo. That would actually be funny, but I don't want to see that. Harry Kim is the Enterprise F captain. No, you know what they should do? Harry Kim should show up and still be a freaking ensign. The only reason why Rescue Fleet look like Shinzo is because they're made by John Eves. Well, here's the thing. The one thing I'll say about the rescue fleet is that it did look like a 24th century adaptation of the classic tug design from the Starfleet Technical Manual. So I'm good with that. Josh says, enter Rant Night score as 8.5 out of 10. The forehead vein is showing. Well, good. I'm glad I got an 8.5. Mr. Cap says, if Cardassians show up, do they get Klingark treatment? I hope not. And then Wesley is in the movie, 4 minutes, 50 seconds to the left. Yes, Thomas, I know. Tentacle Pentacle is being a dick. That's it. But anyway, I am going to finish off by showing you the great classic already new song. And you guys have a good one. And so when the countdown hits 0, the show will be over. Good night and take care.
In a corner of YouTube, somewhere out of the way, where the legions and armies never bother to stray, where the fandom is gathered and the force is strong. You get your orders from Starfleet and you keep moving along. There's a shape in the doorway and a voice can be heard. It's the voice of an android in the shape of a turd. Many geeks join behind him as they beckon you in. And as one sweet collective, they all start to sing. Welcome to the Hotel Turdistani. Such a crappy place, such a crappy face. There's plenty of nerds at the Hotel Turdistani. Any time of year, there is sci-fi here. We've got sweet Alexander, he keeps his brain in a jar. But he loves his Asian Muslim wife, born in the USSR. Next to him is rock solid, he'd like to show you the way. But he thinks Kirk and his crew are the worst, so he doesn't get a say. Lurking deep in the shadows, you'll see Chief Mr. Miles. He only speaks when he's not editing, so you won't hear from him in a while. Yes, we're quite a rebellion, rebel scum you might say. But we all share one vision, to take down bird of prey.
You son of a bitch!
Welcome to the Hotel Turdistani. Such a crappy place, and such a crappy face. The triples are loose in the Hotel Turdistani. Turn your phaser on, keep it set to stun. Welcome to the Hotel Turdistani. Such a crappy place, such a crappy face. There's plenty of nerds at the Hotel Turdistani. Any time of year, there is sci-fi here.